So we are going live. 3, 2, 1. We are live.
Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you all to another edition of IMT Connect series hosted by IMT Hyderabad on compelling topic Unlocking the Selection Process, Stepping Stone to Your B School. Our speaker today is Dr. Nitin Gupta, an expert in marketing with over 20 years of teaching and research experience across various countries. Dr. Nitin Gupta has left an indelible mark through his extensive teaching, research tenure, mentoring MBA, executive MBA, and doctoral programs in various countries like India, France, Germany, Austria, and the UAE. His contribution in conducting sessions for faculty member and middle level executives in faculty development program and management development programs underscore his commitment to fostering academic and professional growth. When it comes to research, Dr. Nitin Gupta has contributed articles to important international and national journals. One of his work, a case study called Kia Motors, Positioning and Growth Strategies in India, became quite popular and was even recognized as one of the best by Ivy Publishing in 2022-23. Today, we are honored to explore the complexities of B school selection process under the guidance of Dr. Nitin Gupta. His insight promises to unravel the key steps towards securing a position in prestigious B schools. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to our esteemed professor, Dr. Nitin Gupta.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav. That was a very, very kind introduction. And very warm good afternoon to all the viewers and the listeners. As introduced, I am Professor Nitin Gupta. I'm a professor of marketing at IMT Hyderabad. And today I have been assigned the task of talking about a very important topic, and that is unlocking the selection process, which means how when you have got a call from a B school, once your CAT score is out and once you start receiving calls, what all should be the avenues of preparation for you, or what all different modes of selection can you expect from a reputed B school? So that's what is the talk that I'm going to give. Uh, Let me start with this particular scenario wherein I just discuss what the B schools are looking for. I hope my slides are visible when I'm saying what are the B schools looking for. You can see that particular slide. Can I get an affirmative
Yes,
action?
ma'am. Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay. Thank you so much, Vaibhav. So, friends, yeah, when you want to join a good leading B schools, obviously you have to understand that there are various criterion that a B school are looking for, and that's what we are going to briefly see. What are those criterion? And it can happen that I possess those criterion, but I do not know how to very well present it. So here I can give you certain inputs as to how to present yourself to the B school. So first and foremost that the B school is looking for is good academic aptitude. Now, when I say good academic aptitude, it is not just the marks. Obviously, one of the factors is how well you have scored. It's also your level of understanding. So during the interview time, when you come with your marks, we can see your marks from the interview form, from the admission form, which has been submitted to us. Your marks can tell us, okay, you have got either 80% or 90%, and we also know what all subjects you have studied. At that particular time, we would try to understand your academic aptitude by asking you simple questions on the topics that you have studied, the subjects that you have undergone. So you might be having very good marks, but if we get the answer that, sir, that was long ago, I have forgotten what I had studied, or that is something that I don't remember right now, or I mean, these were all irrelevant subjects. Now I'm going to learn something relevant. See, all these things will not help you in order to create a perception of a good academic aptitude. So just do not rely on your marks. To the interviewers, it is very important that you are able to present yourself as a person who really understands what he or she has done and knows the basic knowledge of the subject that you have studied in your graduation. So that is what we call a good academic aptitude. Marks are just the starting point of it. It's the level of knowledge that you possess based on your bachelor's degree that would be much more handy in the interview process. Then, friends, diverse backgrounds. Now, what do we mean by diverse backgrounds? One particular shortcomings of the Indian B schools are that most of our B schools, they have engineering graduates, and generally they are more inclined towards male gender. So we want people from diverse backgrounds, from different bachelor levels, from different courses. We would like to attract them, and diverse backgrounds can help, we think, in class by bringing in diverse perspectives. So, diverse backgrounds can also mean that, let's say I mean, if you are a non-engineer, it is a very good opportunity for you, because this means that these schools are categorically looking for students like you who can really enhance the class and bring in a different flavor in the class discussion. But when you claim that you are of a diverse background, you should really be able to explain and justify the particular fact that, yeah, okay, I am a social science student, and these are the important insights that I can bring in to any particular class discussion. So that's where diverse backgrounds become important. Moving on further, friends, work experience. Yeah, definitely work experience adds value to the candidate, and we do look forward to the people who have got work experience. But then the general question is, what's the minimum duration of work experience and what type of work experience? So the minimum duration of work experience that we think is relevant is at least 1 year. So people who have got, let's say, 3 months, 4 months, all these things, that particular, you can claim in your admission form that you have a work experience, but that particular work experience has got very limited applicability for us. For us, a work experience should be at least 1 year, and the type of work experience should be a particular job wherein you were asked to take certain decisions, wherein you can prove that you had multiple options, or you encountered a problem and you were able to give a suitable solution, an effective and efficient solution for that particular problem. That sort of work experience will really help us. I mean, if you have a technical experience, then also you can show that, okay, these particular issues come on a day-to-day basis, and that is how I tackle them. So that's what work experience means for us. It's not just the numbers. I mean, you can not just claim that, okay, I was working for a particular organization for 2 3 years, but the work was very basic. I was just filling in the account books, and how do I contribute to the organization? Oh, I don't have the bigger picture. These particular things, these particular answers can go against you. So please be very careful. If you have got work experience, it is very important for you to make the interviewer understand how that particular work experience has added value to you, number one. And number two, how that particular work experience do you think was adding overall value to the organization for which you are working? Through all these aspects, you will be able to effectively claim the validity and the relevance of your work experience in the eyes of the interviewer. So after talking about work experience, I'll move on to the next point. The next point, ladies and gentlemen, is the extracurricular activities. Obviously, we want a B school student who is uh, so far has been a good meritorious student as far as academics is concerned, but has not restricted his or herself just to the academics. Extracurricular activities would mean, I mean, if you have been an active debater, if you have taken parts in quiz competition, dramatics, what else have you done besides your studies? Have you ever been part of a particular NGO? Have you worked for any social development movement? Have you ever taken part in various literacy campaigns? There could be endless scenarios. In our country, there are so many avenues to showcase your talent beyond academics. So, what else have you done beyond just studying that would really help us in order to ascertain your candidature and to take the fact that, yes, this particular person is going to be a very good resource for our particular B school. So, extracurricular activities, again, quite important. What else? A balanced personality. We all know, friends, that today we all are living in a time where there is a lot of stress everywhere. Uh, there are harsh deadlines. People are under a lot of pressure. There are people suffer from various physical and as well as mental ailments, and Stress is one of the major reasons why many people are not able to lead that completely fulfilling life. Uh, Having said that, how do I know that, okay, I suffer from stress? And do I know how to cope up with that? Now, obviously, friends, I don't have to tell you that each and every one of us, uh, we would have experienced stress at some point or the other in our life, whether it's because of academics, whether it's because of our friends, whether it's because of something happening in the family. Now, how well did you cope up in that stressful situation shows how balanced a personality you are. So it's very important, friends, because please understand what are we basically going to train you on? We are going to make you a professional for the corporate world. Corporate world, with the passage of the time, is becoming more and more demanding, and the amount of work that people have to do, the different amount of uncertainties that the people have to encounter, and the complications of the problem, they are all enhancing day by day. So, in such a scenario, what sort of person would work? The person whom we think is going to be suitably, well trained for such a scenario would be a person who has got a balanced personality. Now, what do we mean by balanced personality? Besides having a high IQ, that is intelligent quotient, we also expect people to have a high level of EQ, that is the emotional quotient, which means, I mean, how, if let's say someone hurts your feeling, how do you reciprocate? Do you get angry? Do you get irritated? Do you start shouting? Under stressful situation, do you get panicky? So these situations, ladies and gentlemen, obviously would help us in making understand the level of a balanced personality a particular candidate is. Now, obviously, the question that that would come in your mind is, so how would you know the balanced personality? I mean, what sort of balanced personality I am? Very good and very relevant question for us. Whatever you are going to say would be considered as the complete trustworthy answer to whether you are a balanced personality or not, which means that we might ask you that, okay, why don't you tell us about a particular scenario where we were facing a problem? And you describe that particular scenario to us and you tell us how did you react, and then how did you cope up with that particular scenario. So through your own words, through your own narration of your own experiences, we can make out the balanced personality. But also, please be cautious that many students try to think that, okay, since it's my story, I can put it in any particular way, I can narrate it in any particular way. People will not come to know whether I'm speaking the truth or not. Well, that unfortunately will not work. The people who are interviewing you, ladies and gentlemen, are very well experienced people. So if you try to fudge, if you try to show a false picture, then I would rather caution you that rather than helping you in your candidature, it would definitely backfire. And people, I mean, whatever credibility and trust you would be having as a candidate would be lost. So I would strongly recommend to refrain against building up a story. I mean, being honest that, okay, I have had past experiences where I panic very quickly, or I am emotionally a bit volatile fellow. It's still a good starting point. At least you are honest. At least you know your weak. Now that would be the starting point of trying to understand how am I going to be able to cater to my drawbacks. So if you know your weaknesses, what's the plan B? What are you trying to address all these drawbacks? So that would be a glimpse of a balanced personality for us. I hope I am making things easy for you to understand. Uh, in case there is a provision for asking any question, I would be more than happy to answer any of the queries which you would be having upon any of the thing that I am saying. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, a strong managerial potential. Now, if I would just give a very simple answer, a strong managerial potential would be a summation of all the five qualities that are stated before it. So you should have a good academic aptitude. If you come from a background which is not very common in management, for example, maybe you come from an arts background and you bring in new insights which can help us in order to understand a management problem in a completely new manner. A relevant work experience, your ability to be a multitasker by showing different extracurricular activities besides academics that you have been doing. an overall balanced personality. All these factors ultimately help us in order to answer the last point, which is, do you have a strong managerial potential? Uh, I would suggest that if you think that you are lacking in any of these parameters, don't lose heart. Just think that, okay, what can be done in order for you to improve? See, we can start our improvement journey right now. So please don't think that, okay, if I am not suitable for this particular line of further education because of the shortcoming on any of these parameters, I think that is not the ideal solution for this sort of a problem. Ideal solution would be to determine, to find out what are my drawbacks and try sincerely to work to overcome them. And you still have ample of time. I mean, before the interviews commence, you still have weeks and months to go. Plus, it's self-improvement is always a journey. So if I have decided I'm going to improve myself from today onwards, the journey is going to continue till the time of my interview, after my interview, at the time of my admission, once I'm at the B school, and once I get out of the B school in the corporate world. So I think the fact that I get determined to follow this path of improvement itself would make you a very strong candidate for a good B school. Just give me a second while I quench my thirst, and then we can move on further. Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you are still with me. Moving on further. Now, what are the various types of that you might have to encounter when you are going to appear for the selection process of various B schools? One very common test which many of the B schools offer is what is called the critical thinking test. Now, what happens in a critical thinking test? It assesses your ability to basically analyze. So maybe a given scenario is given to you, a problem is given to you, some sort of a caselet is given to you, and you are supposed to, logically analyze it, create certain assumptions which are what we call educated guess, which means assumptions are something which we can consider, okay, these assumptions can be possible, they are believable. How do you present your argument? How do you articulate? That is again also very, very important. What are your deductions and inferences from the data and the facts which are given? Because please understand, a manager's job is very tough, not only because of the problems, but because of the information overload which a manager experiences on a day-to-day basis. So you would have so much of data, so many facts, so many things which are happening. Now, in such a scenario, you have to determine which are the important relevant facts, which are the ones that I can, ignore, and on what should I concentrate and do my further data analysis on. So that is where your deduction, inference, and interpreting of the information skill sets come in handy. And critical thinking test is trying to assess that particular aspect only. So when we talk about the critical thinking test, we are trying to understand how well can a candidate analyze a situation. So analysis would mean, can I have a holistic picture of the situation? Can I determine all the multiple facets of a problem? Because please understand, tomorrow when a managerial problem is going to come in front of you, it is going to come in all its multiple forms. It will not be singularly aligned with any one of the subjects or courses that I have undertaken. It's going to be a completely broad-based holistic problem. So do you have the ability of holistically analyzing it? Then second, how well do you have the ability to articulate your thoughts? Because many times it happens, ladies and gentlemen, there are various ideas in our mind, but where we lack is the ability to articulate them in a manner in which other people can understand. So this is something which is very important. So after analysis, communication. Creativity. Now, you would have heard about this particular phrase, which is called out of the box thinking. What is out of the box thinking? Out of the box thinking is trying to address a particular problem, a particular situation with certain tools, with certain solutions which are not usual. Certain things which maybe other people have not thought about. So do I have that ability? Do I have that ability to creatively try to deduce a solution for a given problem? That is, again, very important. Excuse me. Open-mindedness. Now, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in a time where many people have become very sensitive to various issues. So, but sensitivity to various issues and getting perturbed because of that can unnecessarily create more problems. So, an open-minded person is a person who is relatively more receptive to other people's point of views, receptive to other ways of solving a particular problem, receptive to different cultural domains. So I think for today's manager who is going to have an international experience also, and who would be interacting with people from different cultures, different parts of the world, being open-minded is something which is very, very important. So in a critical thinking test, you might be given a scenario in which we are also trying to assess how well do you think you can address that particular phenomena, or because of that particular existing situation, are you getting biased towards certain results, towards certain people, towards certain entity? A biased perspective will not be much appreciated as compared to a more objective, holistic, open-minded perspective. So that's where open-mindedness comes. And ultimately, all these factors should lead to solving of the problem. So it's like I explain very well everything what was supposed to be explained in an answer, but my answer is not able to come to a given logical conclusion. So all the impact that I'm trying to create through my answer is lost. So that's where the problem solving comes at the base of all these different skills. I have to amalgamate all these different skills ultimately to come to the problem solving aspect of the nature of that particular problem and how can I solve it holistically, effectively, and efficiently. So that's what the critical thinking is trying to test, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you have got any question, I would be very happy to answer at the end of the session. Let's move on further. Group exercise. Why should group exercise be important to us? Uh, Interestingly, friends, management is a social science. I cannot be a manager in isolation. I am not going to work in vacuum. I am going to work in an environment in which I would have people around me, and I have to work with people to come up to a solution that is acceptable to each one. So group exercise enables us to see how well do you work with people. So you could see the definition of group exercise on your screen. It talks about activities where a defined group of individuals, they need to perform a defined task and accomplish a goal assigned to them. So, like in a real world scenario, you have been given a problem and there is a team with you who is going to address that particular problem. Even when you are leading a team, how good a leader you are, or when you are a part of a team, how good you are as a team member. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, all these things, I mean, the words like partnership, communication, consultation, participation, engagement, all of them are very, very important in solving today's contemporary management problem. And it is imperative that any person who is being trained to become a good manager is also a good group worker. That is, you know how to work in a group with other people. You know to listen to the different point of views. You know how to articulate your point of views. You know to accept certain contrarian point of views. All these things are very important. So as a part of a group exercise, this is what is being assessed. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's not the number of times you raise your voice or give your point that is important, but how crucial your point is, and how valuable the point was in order to take that particular argument or the discussion in that particular direction. That is what counts. So for group exercise, I would strongly recommend that each person should be a good listener and should be a willing team worker. The orientation should be we oriented rather than I oriented, and that is what would work for you. Moving on further, friends, psychometric test. Now, psychometric tests are these are psychological, scientifically designed tests that helps the assessor to know the strengths and weaknesses of the question of the student through various simple questions. So, set of psychometric tests could be, let's say, something as simple as numerical reasoning or verbal reasoning. It could be inductive reasoning, logical reasoning, or dramatic reasoning. So basically, through these questions, the assessor is trying to find out in what direction a person's brain works. How well does the brain work? I mean, are you able to understand the problem and try to move towards its solution? Or does a very abstract and a problematic situation confuses you? So a psychometric test is done in order to assess that level of students' strengths or weaknesses. And obviously, any psychometric test assessor will tell you, do not try to fudge the answers. Do not try to give the answers that you think would be what are going to impress the interviewer, because that way you are losing your own individuality. And many times you're presenting a very contrarian picture rather than a very straightforward picture of yourself, which would definitely not work in your favor, but would work against it. So take psychometric test as a genuine analysis of what is there in your mind, how do you interpret things, and present your answers in a manner which is the most truthworthy reflection of your personality rather than trying to portray something which you are not. Moving on further, ladies and gentlemen. Now, obviously, besides these different types of tests, interview is going to be one very crucial stage through which I have to pass. When I say I'm portraying a candidate. When a candidate has to pass and to basically fulfill the requirement of the selection process. So, how is interview used as an assessment tool? That's what we are going to discuss now. All right, friends, moving on further. So, what do we do in interview? What sort of questions do we ask? Uh, as I've already told you, friends, your mark sheet, your numbers that you have scored in your 10th and 12th, as well as in the graduation, are already there in front of us. So they do give us an indication of how well you have done academically. But the numbers do not give a holistically true picture of an individual. We all firmly believe in that. That's why a part of the interview is dedicated towards assessing your domain knowledge. How much do you actually know what you claim that you know through that particular degree of yours? So we might ask you basic questions, we might ask you application-oriented questions. So you need to be thorough with what sort of graduation degree that you have done, and that's how your domain knowledge is going to be assessed. Second, obviously, we have already talked about it, and again, I'm re-emphasizing it. We all have ideas in our mind, but many times what we feel difficult is how to articulate those ideas. Now, that is where articulation as a skill set is very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. How well can you convey your ideas in a manner in which the other person can understand it? I should not make my ideas so complicated for the other person that that person doesn't even understand, what is there in my mind. So do you have that capability of articulating your thoughts in a manner which can be simplistically understood by the person with whom you are having a conversation? That is very important, and that is again what is also being assessed during the interview. Many times we see we might be asking a simple question, but the answer that we give is very comprehensive, very elaborate, too complex, so many things. Well, that is not required. So my suggestion to be the best type of articulation would be to articulate the answer in a to the point manner. In case the interviewer wants further details from you, he or she would ask further questions. Okay. Next, why are you here? Now, when I say why are you here, I am trying to ask this question from the point of view of an interviewer. Why have you come for the interview? What do you want to attain by qualifying through this particular examination process or selection process? What do you intend to do? Uh, so it's important, ladies and gentlemen, that we should honestly assess our own goals in the life. Now, when I say honestly assess, what do I mean? I mean that try to introspect and try to understand what exactly you want to do rather than, listening to many people and trying to formulate a goal based on what certain other people think would be appropriate for you. We all are different individuals, and as different individuals, it is imperative that we all understand ourselves and ultimately do the thing that we think would work for us rather than allow anyone else to make that decision for us. So that clarity of goal would also be assessed. Do you really know why you are here? Do you really know what you want to accomplish? Do you really know where do you want to go? And I mean, obviously, 100% clarity, see, nobody can expect. But are you thinking on those lines? That itself would be a starting point and would be good enough for an interviewer to, to assess you in a positive light. Then moving on further, problem solving skills. So you might be given a particular situation, you might be asked a current affairs question wherein a particular business problem is put in front of you, and you might be asked, okay, how do you think it should be addressed? So problem solving skills are, again, we assess that, sure, you would have studied certain concepts. How good are you with the application of those particular concepts? So do you have those adequate skills which are based on the foundation of the theories and the concepts, and you can very well apply them in real world and show that, okay, this is how whatever you have studied is relevant for the real world purposes. So that is where the problem solving skills comes in handy. Moving on further, friends, obviously, how ambitious and how motivated you are, because once you get admission, the Masters in Business Administration course itself is a not a very simplistic, linear course that I can just, relax and do it. It's a very demanding course, and I really have to put in a lot of effort. And the amount of effort that I am going to put in would definitely be determined by my level of motivation and ambition. So again, that's the reason, ladies and gentlemen, it's very important for you to come for a B school education when you have a clarity of goal. It fits somewhere in your goals. Don't come because people are telling you that, okay, this is another good perspective. Try to do it, and then you'll be able to earn a very good package. It's very difficult to earn a good package if I have my heart into that. If I do not have my heart into that particular work. So please be cautious. Ambition and motivation can only come in if you have the clarity of goal, if you have that level of honesty and sincerity, and you are very clear what you are doing, why you are doing it, and where do you want to go in the future. So keep these things in mind. Finally, obviously, I don't have to tell you, when you are coming for an interview, you have to be, you have to depict that you are a thorough professional. And how can I depict that? By being plain and simply professionally dressed. So obviously, I mean, it should not have that an unmade stubble or an unkept hair, or an improper dress code, which gives a very casual feel. They are a complete no-no for any particular interview. Obviously, we are here to judge the seriousness of your candidature. If we see that a person has got a very casual attitude towards such an important thing, because this for us interview is an important exercise, and if we think that the interviewee has got a very casual attitude, then that thing doesn't gel well with with the individual's candidature, and can lead to the disqualification of that person from the whole interview process. So an adequate professional appearance. We all know how to look basic professional, and how to dress as a professional, and how to have that professional etiquettes with us. So All these things are very important because the interviewers are judging you on this particular aspect. So do not underestimate it. And I mean, it's like you are trying to show that you are ready to be a budding professional. And for that, you are completely geared up and very serious for this particular opportunity which is being given to you. So I think these were the things that I had to tell you about the interview. Now, when you are preparing for the interview, what all things can you keep in mind? So, one thing that you have to keep in mind, friends, is that when you are communicating through your physical appearance, so obviously, professional appearance, I've already talked about it. Expression, sorry. Facial expression when you're preparing for the interview is many times we come across people who are too, what should I say, I mean, too nervous, and that nervousness shows on their face. Sometimes people are too shocked or too scared, and that fear shows on their face. I mean, what's there to be scared of? You are just talking to another human being. And I'm sure none of us interviewers are here to perturb you or to make it as an experience which would be an experience that you would really not relish and you would like to forget. Nothing like that, ladies and gentlemen. We are as normal individuals as you are. And our whole endeavor is to assess you as a candidate, not to make you feel uncomfortable. So you can have a pleasant facial expression, which is relatively more welcoming. Uh, Try doing that if that works for you. Sitting posture, uh, obviously, basic thing, simple thing, but a comfortable straight shoulder sitting posture is always preferable than the bent shoulders or a laid back sort of a sitting posture. So that shows again, the seriousness and the professional the whole professional demeanor is visible through that particular thing. Gestures and eye contact, obviously, when you speak, the face should not be blank. And many times we are worried, what should we do with our hands? Maybe we can use our hands for expressing. So, and always maintain an eye contact with the interviewer. Many times when we are asked a particular conceptual question, what we do is that we don't want to maintain an eye contact. We want to either look at the ceiling or look here or there. That doesn't go very well when you are trying to answer, and it shows the lack of confidence on your part. So please try not to do that. Try to maintain a friendly eye contact. That always helps. Uh, what else can you prepare for? Simple questions. Most of the interviews generally start with this one sentence. Tell us something about yourself. Uh, I would suggest don't repeat things which are already there in the admission form. So if in the admission form it tells that from this college you have graduated, this has been your percentage of marks, all these things, it's pointless to repeat all these things. You can say that besides what is there in my admissions form, uh, other things that are quite interesting, and I think the interview panel should know about it, are these. And then describe yourself appropriately. And be sincere, be honest. Tell us about you in a manner which you think can really present yourself, better. Can provide us a better understanding of you as a candidate. Any such insights are welcome when you are trying to describe yourself. Uh, Weaknesses. None of us can claim that we do not have a weakness. All of us have got our shortcomings, but having a shortcoming doesn't mean that I just relegate it under the carpet and do not think about it. A shortcoming is there, and the best way to tackle it is to first identify it, understand it why it's there, and try to find ways of curtailing or mitigating that particular shortcoming. So it's very important, ladies and gentlemen, that each one of us, we understand ourselves and understand our own strengths and weaknesses, and try to further magnify our strengths, improve them over a period of time, and definitely try to reduce or mitigate our weaknesses and see how certain weaknesses, let's say one of the weaknesses, somebody would say, I am very lazy. So now, first, why do you think laziness is a weakness? Laziness could be a weakness because it doesn't allow you to fulfill your tasks in time, which means you are not able to give your best and give the best possible, project within the given time limit. So, what are you doing about it? Why do you think laziness, has incorporated you in your daily lifestyle? How can it be reduced? So, all these things. Now, each one of us would be having our own specific weakness. It's important to identify it. It's important to understand it. It's important to try to formulate a strategy to further reduce, mitigate it, and to overcome it. And that's what. So, in an interview, you can be asked about your weaknesses and do you actually know about them and what are you doing about it? So be ready with such answers. Domain knowledge. We have already talked about the importance of domain knowledge. I would very strongly recommend. It could happen that you have done your engineering 2 years ago, and after that you have been working. But this doesn't mean that the interviewer cannot ask you the basic questions which were taught during your engineering. You cannot say, "Oh, that particular concept I don't recollect because it's been so long." Uh, Please, because how you are going to convince the interviewer about your domain knowledge will go a long way for the interviewer to be completely satisfied that, okay, this person, whatever he or she is claiming as his or her mark sheet, and that this particular bachelor degree you have got it, you really have worked hard for it, and that has somewhat added value to your life. And that's what you're going to build up further on. If we come across a candidate who is like completely lost, it's like, okay, I had to do it because someone told me to do it, my parents asked me to become an engineer, all these things, that doesn't very show a very effective, mature candidate and a very promising candidate for a B school admission. So I would like to caution you on that particular aspect. Current affairs, ladies and gentlemen, are we regular readers of newspapers or business magazines? What's happening around us? What is the analysis which has been going on? Are we aware of the latest trends? Are we aware of what's happening in the stock market? Are we aware about the different strategies, the firms in our domain of interest? So current affairs, general knowledge is something which is very important. And unfortunately, many times I see students do not pay adequate attention to that. By doing that, ladies and gentlemen, you are decreasing your own chances of qualifying for the from the interview round. And you might be very good in the domain, you might be good in other aspects, but if you do not read newspaper at all, you do not know what's happening around, you do not know, okay, who is the RBI governor and basic such things, then it does have an adverse effect on your candidature. So I would caution you and strongly recommend that please regularly read newspapers and business magazines so that your knowledge about the business and economics world is up to date. And let's say some things that we have written in that particular admission form is that I am a very sincere and a helpful person. Uh, Obviously, I, as an interview, would like to know why are you claiming these particular adjectives about yourself? How can you claim that you are a sincere person, that you are a helpful person? Can you narrate previous instances which can further support your claims? So all these things, whatever you mention in the admission form, it is always a good idea to have answers ready on those particular content that you have entered into the admission form. Because, ladies and gentlemen, any part, anything, any sentence could be picked up by the interviewer, and you could be asked question on that particular basis. You could be asked to justify that particular thing. So be very careful what you are putting in the admission form. It is not just for the sake of it. Put the things that you seriously mean and you can really defend those particular stands and those particular activities in the eyes of the interviewer. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for being a patient audience. I'm open to any queries that you might have.
Thank you so much, Nitin sir. That was very insightful. So there are some queries from students which I would like to ask you. The first one is,
Sure, Vaibhav.
what do you think? What are the most three important things that the B school looks for when choosing students?
Okay. Domain knowledge, current affairs knowledge, and overall personality.
That's great, sir. Sir, could you share some tips on how students can make their application stand out?
Being honest, sincere, and articulating what exactly you are in the best possible manner.
Sir, how much do you think students do outside of school, like hobbies or extracurricular activities, matters when applying for B schools?
Definitely. See, if so, hobbies doesn't mean that. Okay, if you say my hobby is watching television, as an interview, the first question that comes to my mind is, how do you think is it adding any value to you? So by watching television most of the time, what have you gained, and how do you think it can help you? So any of the hobbies that you think has evolved you as a person, as an individual, can further help you to become a professional. Any such hobby you can share. I mean, a lot of people collect things, and that increases their sense of being, meticulous to keep sight of small things and to work things in a very detailed manner. So that is how I can justify any of my hobbies. It has to be related with how do I think it has helped me in my personality development, what all values it has added to me, and in future, in my work environment, how do you think having such a hobby could be beneficial?
Thank you, sir. There's another question. How important is it for student to have work experience before applying?
See, obviously, preferences are given to the students who have got work experience, but this doesn't mean that if you do not have work experience, your candidature will not be considered. Majority of the students in many of the B schools, they do not have work experience. So don't think that if you do not have work experience, your candidature is lost. But yeah, definitely, if somebody has got a work experience, that person is considered to have an edge over you.
Sir, could you please share some common misconceptions students have about B schools admissions?
Common misconceptions about B school admissions are that if I am a great talker, I can really impress the interviewers. See, talking is one thing, but talking sense is something else. So you can be a very good talker, you can articulate things, but if there is no substance in what you are saying, unfortunately, you will not be able to impress the interviewers. Second thing, B schools are looking for multifaceted people, people who are good in studies, who are good in people to people interaction, who know what's happening around the world, who know the what is happening in the business environment, who can express themselves well, who have a well-rounded personality. These are few of the things that we look for. Indeed, see, business, a B school education is an all-round education. So we always would like to give chances to those particular candidates who already have tried to develop themselves in that particular scenario and are are trying to further refine on that particular thing. So if you are a multitasker, if you are a person who has got who's been multi-talented, if you your capability, if you have shown good in academics as well as in other activities like sports or quizzes, dramatics, and or you have been a part of an NGO, all these things matter to us when we are taking an interview.
Sir, last question of the day. What advice would you give to students who dream for going to top B schools?
Advice is prepare well, hope for the best, and even if things do not materialize, don't lose heart. We are all, every on an everyday basis trying to perform the activities which are there in front of us to the best of our ability. Sometimes things work, sometimes things don't work. So put your best foot forward, but never lose hope and never lose your confidence. Each one of you has got that particular capability, and sooner or later success will come to you. Don't be bogged down by failures, because generally many times failures, we are quite sensitive to failures, And many times, let's say 2, 3, 4 calls have not worked, and we are like, oh, nothing is working for me, and I go into depression and I go into self-pity. I would sincerely request, please avoid that scenario. Each one of is special, and definitely the best fit institute would be there for you, which would help you in enhancing your career and making you an excellent corporate career for you. So that is my few words of advice.
Thank you so much, sir. As a wrap up, thank you so much for all of you participating in the webinar on unlocking the selection process, stepping stone to your B schools. Special gratitude to Mr. Dr. Nitin Gupta. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your expertise and making us insightful for all of us.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav, and all the best to all the participants who were witnessing it. And do well. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.